Meanwhile, the Kremlin is deploying a new weapon in the war on Ukraine: deepfake videos. This one purports to show Ukraine's heroic President Zelensky supposedly telling his soldiers to surrender and give up your arms. But no one was fooled by such an obvious fake. Here it is side by side with the real Zelensky, who's been praised around the world for his bold leadership and refusal to abandon Kyiv. President Zelensky responded quickly to the deepfake video, telling his people there will be no surrender. The only ones who should give up arms are Russian soldiers.
Russian propaganda is entering a new arena with the recent release of a deepfake video featuring Zelensky, not Zelensky, urging his fighters to put down their weapons and surrender to the Russians. I'm Yasmin Khan with Rebel HQ, and if you watch the deepfake of Zelensky, it's pretty obvious that it's not him, but it's not really obvious enough.
Шановні захисники, бути президентом.
When this deepfake technology first came out, along with facial recognition technology, there were some obvious concerns about it. This video of Zelensky is basically all of those concerns coming to fruition all in one video, and honestly, it was only a matter of time before this happened. The tech is being weaponized in a way that goes beyond corrupting one individual's reputation, though it shouldn't be understated that this particular individual is a world leader. Among other things, this has the potential to alter the outcome of an international conflict, and it puts lives in danger. But this was more than a potential. This was the intention. It makes sense that Russia would feel the need to do something like this. Zelensky, despite numerous attempts to not only discredit him as a leader, but also to assassinate him, has emerged on the world stage as a heroic leader. Putin clearly underestimated the measure of the man that he was dealing with, and to put it simply, it's bad optics.
And it's not just the casualty numbers that point to a Russian army in disarray. Today, a British military intelligence assessment echoed what American defense officials have been saying, that the Russian invasion of Ukraine has largely stalled on all fronts as they fend off constant Ukrainian counterattacks.
On top of that, the death toll of Russians is climbing to astronomical heights in Ukraine. According to the New York Times, conservative American intelligence estimates of Russian deaths in Ukraine currently sits at around 7,000 deaths over the course of only 3 weeks. Again, that's the conservative estimate and is already more than the reported American deaths in both Afghanistan and Iraq combined over the last 20 years. The Pentagon warns that the number of casualties, which includes both the dead and wounded, could soon become too much for Putin's forces to carry out their mission, with a 10% casualty rate being the benchmark for when a unit can no longer really be effective. That's not to mention the impact that losses of that magnitude could have on overall morale. Now, U.S. officials emphasize that these numbers are estimates based on a variety of different factors that are available to them, some more reliable than others. As far as casualties go, for instance, American estimates put Russian casualties anywhere between 14,000 and 21,000. Ukraine estimates 13,500, and Russia estimates only 500. Zelensky also said that Ukrainian deaths are estimated to be somewhere around 1,300, and that's again compared to the estimated 7,000 Russian deaths. An official at the Pentagon also stated that Putin could be focusing more on aerial strikes because it helps to mask the disarray of what's going on the ground. Either way, this whole thing puts into sharp focus how much of war is about optics and semantics and protocol and the like. Actually, John Iadarola, who you all know from the Damage Report, he recently had a pretty amusing rant about people who were complaining that when Zelensky addressed the US Congress, he was wearing a t-shirt and not a suit. What an insane thing to be hung up on. John was careful to point out that Zelensky probably had more pressing things on his mind than his wardrobe, especially considering the fact that he's been in an active war zone for 3 weeks, and that the building he was in could have been hit by one of those aerial strikes at any point during the broadcast. But apart from that, in the war of optics, Zelensky is winning, and that's no small success. He did it without tricking people because he didn't have to. His people are fighting for him as much as they're fighting for themselves or their country. Leadership during times like these is critical, and a weak leader will have trouble rallying support. Case in point, King Theoden didn't want to risk open war with Mordor, So Aragorn had to step up and remind him, "Open war is upon you, whether you'd risk it or not." Also, who led the battle at Helm's Deep? Even Theoden knew that his people were not following him. Sure, their home was being threatened by a seemingly unbeatable enemy, but rather than surrendering to the orcs, they fought for what was theirs, and they got their courage, their drive, and their morale from Aragorn.